I was going to record a video this evening on a completely different topic, but given what happened today in Nashville, Tennessee, honestly, the subject of that video is kind of irrelevant. It can be put aside and done on a different occasion. Like a lot of people in this part of the country, and frankly all over the country, I've got thoughts about what happened, and I'm sure you do too, so let's talk about it. My name is Brian Trippett. I'm your front porch conservative. Step on up to the electronic front porch and let's talk. At the time of the recording of this video, it's about 9:30 Eastern. When it posts tomorrow morning, it'll be almost 24 hours from the event. Some people will, probably criticize me and say, well, why didn't you publish something or put something out that night or the day of? I'm not interested in being the fastest in this case or being first or whatever. I think this is one of those moments where everybody just needs to stop, slow down, breathe, and process. And if that means doing a video differently at a different speed or a different tone, fine. This morning, somewhere around, I guess maybe 10:30, a 28-year-old female came through the side door of a school in Nashville, Tennessee. She was armed with two what are described as assault-style rifles and a handgun. Shortly after entering the building, she killed three 9-year-old students and three adults. Two of them were age 61, one of them was age 60. The names of the victims are out there, but other people can publish them, and that's fine. I just don't think that's appropriate at this point. Those individuals are no longer on this earth. We do know the name of the shooter, and I'm not even going to mention the person's name. There are things that we know. We know there was a 28-year-old female who, according to very recent reports this evening, used the pronouns he, him. The press is identifying them as transgender. The police chief has said in interviews so far that this was a targeted shooting. Now, what that means specifically, I don't know yet. We do know that the school had a protocol in place for a situation like this. And maybe it was that protocol that saved a lot of lives. This was an elementary school that went from at least first grade through sixth grade. How many total students there were in the school, we don't know. According to reports, all the doors in the building were locked. We'll get to a question that kind of comes up from that momentarily. We do know that the shooter left some kind of what's being described as a manifesto. Something in writing that maybe will give us some insight into what happened or why they did it. At this point, we just don't know. The police are doing a lot of investigative work at this stage, as you would probably expect. I can't speak to anybody else. You hear something like this, and we hear it nowadays, and we almost become numb to it. Till you stop and think about the following. Imagine what it's like as a parent. You pull up the car at the school, you take your child by the hand, you walk them inside, or maybe just walk them to the front door. You lean down. You look them in the eyes. You kiss them on the cheek. You look back in their eyes again. You tell them you love them. And tell them to have a good day. You turn around and leave, and you don't realize in doing that it's the last time you will ever see your child alive. If you're one of the adults, All you did this morning was what you otherwise normally do. You get up, you get ready for work, you go to school. Maybe you're a volunteer. Maybe you're a member of the paid staff. I don't know. You're just going about your day trying to do the best that you can in the volunteering that you're doing or the job you've got, or maybe both. You don't know that this is going to be your last day on earth. For myself, I'm not married and I don't have kids. My sister's children now have children of their own. So I guess that's as close as I'm going to get. I am a great uncle, technically and practically. I just can't imagine what it would be like if it were one of them. God forbid. I can't even imagine what it's like for the spouses or the boyfriends, girlfriends, family members of the adults that were killed. Like I said, maybe they talked to him on the phone last night. Said, hey, see you this weekend. We'll get together and go fishing. Come over and we'll have dinner. And you'll never get to be able to do it again. There's a lot of things we know. There's some things we don't. If the doors were locked, how did the shooter get access through the side door? Did they force their way in? Was the door propped open? Was this one of those days where maybe something very tragically happened and somebody just out of negligence allowed something to happen that should never happen anywhere? Well, we don't know. Was there something in the shooter's background that was just gnawing at them? Just hurting them so badly inside that they couldn't take it anymore and they had to act out? We don't know. Was this act born of rage? What emotion was going through the mind of the shooter? If this was a targeted attack, who were the targets? I mean, obviously it was the people at the school, but why were they a target? We don't know. We've got questions, we've got some answers, we've got some things unanswered yet. All we do know for sure is that 3 9-year-old children and 3 adults are no longer with us in this world. As I said, we've got a lot of things to work through here. We've got some answers, still got a lot of questions. Unfortunately, that's not stopping some people from already plotting a course of action. They're the same people that you usually expect to start coming out of the woodwork when something like this happens, when a shooting happens. Normally, I'd get red-faced. I'd start getting a tone of my voice tougher, more resolved than what I am right now. I'm not there. Oh, don't get me wrong, I've got opinions about it. What they're doing is wrong for a lot of reasons. But really, you got to start doing it again. But, hey, as Rahm Emanuel used to say, never let a tragedy go to waste. From USA Today, President Joe Biden renewed his call for Congress to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, singling out the 2 assault-style weapons, a subject allegedly used Monday to kill 3 children and 3 staff members at a Nashville school. Quote, "It's heartbreaking, a family's worst nightmare," Biden said. "We have to do more to stop gun violence. It's ripping our communities apart, ripping at the very soul of the nation. We have to do more to protect our schools so they aren't turned into prisons." Right on cue. Never fails. We've got a moment in history. Let's move our agenda forward. And this is supposed to be the decent president. But he wasn't alone. Not at all. U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth, Democrat, Illinois. Quote, we have many more classrooms. How many more classrooms must become crime scenes before we take more action to end gun violence? End of quote. You know, I've got a question for those who want to confiscate guns. I'm not even going to call you gun control advocates anymore. It's just a misnomer. You're not about trying to control guns. You're about trying to confiscate them so that only the appropriate people can have them, not the American people who are guaranteed that right under the Second Amendment. I have a question for all of you. If you could Thanos snap your fingers right now and turn every gun in America into chocolate, do you really think that would stop murder? Oh, it would reduce the murders. No, it wouldn't. We'd still have murders in this country. You want some proof? I'll give you 2 or 3 things. Does the name Darrell Brooks mean anything to you? It oughta. Oh, about a year and a half ago, Darrell Brooks killed 6 individuals in Waukesha, Wisconsin. He injured 60 more. His weapon of choice? The SUV he was driving. There was a parade going through Waukesha. He just hit the gas and ran right over everybody. Like I said, he killed 6, injured 60. But no guns. Oh, well, that's just one example. If you know, we know what we're doing. Really? Like I said, if you could snap your fingers and eliminate every gun in America, or let's do one better, every gun in the world, you really think murder would stop? This is from a website called Statista.com. Homicides by method of killing in England and Wales in 2021-2022. Try this for a stat. Homicides by method of killing. Knives or other sharp objects were involved in 41% of homicides in England and Wales in 2021-2022, the most of any method of killing. Homicides which involved hitting or kicking without a weapon made up 17% of murders, while shootings were identified as the method in 4% of homicides. And England has some of the strongest, most stringent gun confiscation rules in the world. And they still have murder. And they're still using guns. Well, maybe not as much as if you have a knife or a machete, but they're still using guns to commit crime. And I'll give you one more. Does the name Timothy McVeigh ring any bells? This one's from the FBI's own website. Oklahoma City bombing. In the morning of April 19th, 1995, an ex-Army soldier and security guard named Timothy McVeigh parked a rented Ryder truck in front of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in downtown Oklahoma City. He was about to commit mass murder. Inside the vehicle was a powerful bomb. Oh, not guns, bomb. Made out of deadly cocktail of agricultural fertilizer, diesel fuel, and other chemicals. McVeigh got out, locked the door, headed toward his getaway car, ignited a one-timed fuse, then another. At 9:02, the bomb exploded. Within moments, the surrounding area looked like a war zone. The human toll was still more devastating. 168 souls were lost, including 19 children. It was the worst act of homegrown terrorism in the nation's history, and he never fired a single bullet. I've got some advice for everybody in this. Doesn't matter which side of this you're on, it doesn't matter what your persuasions are, it doesn't matter anything. Number one, can we please just stop it? Okay? For the love of God, can we not just be allowed a moment to grieve before we start pulling out our political and ideological knives and start going at it? Let the survivors of those who have died, let them cry. Let them grieve. Let the school, the community, the city, everybody, can we please just grieve in peace? Number two, let's just put aside the agendas. Let's just drop everything else and let's figure out what happened, how it happened, and as much as we can, why. Before we all start going off giving our ideas about what ought to be done to make sure this doesn't happen again. Just for the first time in a long time, I would really love it if we could just do that. I really think it helps so many people on so many levels and for so many reasons. And then finally, having done number two correctly and thoroughly, then we start trying to decide what we ought to do. My name's Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative, and I'll see you next time.